This whole thing, if Mpele really wanted a merger, uh, she should have done it the way most of these smaller parties are doing it. In that, we can perhaps agree in principle that we will support each other, we will vote together in parliament, all of these collaborative efforts that they can have. But at the same time, you want to test your strength. That is what makes you a player in the game that you are playing. This is what gives you the mileage that you hope to get. Basically, if you come and we understand that your party has been having financial difficulties, you have almost no structures, purportedly a lot of volunteers not under a structure, you are basically going to the DA begging. And this is the sense that some within the DA have had. So you are working from a position, not a very strong position, a position of weakness, really. So it would have been instructive for her. Even if she gets a paltry 3%, that's 3% that the DA did not have before, and she can use that to negotiate. Patricia DeLille, not Patricia DeLille, she did it very well. So basically, that is what needs to be done for Agang. So hopefully they're returning to the bases right now and looking at it from that perspective, but you cannot go begging to another political party and you want the highest seat, you want the greatest influence, whereas you have no cards to speak of, you have no credibility to speak of.
I mean, she wouldn't exactly put it that way. She didn't exactly beg the DA. The DA nominated her as their presidential candidate. So do you think the DA was wrong in doing that?
Well, I would argue that the initial list of the DA was vastly different. Okay, no one was thinking of Mpele. Basically, this is a Helen Zille project. Helen Zille has been trying to get Mpele on her side for a very long time, even before she started the so-called political platform, which culminated into a political party. She's always wanted her there. You would have read her book, you would have heard her speak publicly about this, that she has been approached and she denied, basically declined every other time. So at the end of the day, it is a question of a personal project by Helen Zille gone wrong. And at the end of the day, maybe Mpele saw that, okay, now they're starting to take me seriously. I'm working from a position of strength, which is not necessarily the case. Until you can test a voter, until you can test your own support, you are working from a baseless area, I'm afraid.
It's very interesting that you bring that up. And now, I mean, the DA is currently trying to re-elect another presidential candidate. Do you think Helen Zille will actually be that presidential candidate?
Well, I mean, you can be on both lists. I mean, we see this in KwaZulu-Natal where you have individuals being on both lists. I think Greg Krambach is number 2 and number 3 on the provincial list. So basically that can be done. And obviously Helen Zille is number 1 on the provincial list, and the one assumes that she would be premier. So at the end of the day, the person who's leading the party ought to be the party's presidential candidate. You know, there's no two ways about that. It creates multiple centers of power. It confuses the voter, and at the end of the day, more so when that individual is external. So perhaps the list will be reflective of what was discussed before, and certainly one would assume that at the structural level, at the electoral college level, never did they ever think of Mpele really. This was more of an idea by the federal executive, spearheaded by Helen Zille. So basically it's like that. If they do elect another person, they will elect from the structures, and hopefully this time around not an external candidate.